What's going on, everybody? Crypto Headquarters here, and in today's video we're going to be talking about Verge's recent partnership announcement. I'm going to be explaining what the partnership is, what it means for the future of Verge, where we can expect Verge to go in the future, and finally I'm going to give my thoughts and opinions on this partnership. So all of that and more is going to be explained throughout the video today, but I do want to jump into the disclaimer, which states none of the information in today's video is investment or financial advice. This is just simply my personal opinion. Please do your own research before investing. Invest at your own risk. Don't invest more than you can afford to lose, and consult a financial advisor if necessary. For transparency purposes, I am not invested in a Verge and do not hold Verge in my portfolio at the time of making this video. But with all of that said, let's jump into it. Before we jump into the bulk of things today, talking about the Verge partnership and all of that good stuff, I do want to give a brief history on where I have stood in terms of making videos about Verge on my channel. So a few weeks back, I made a video talking about the price explosion that was this run up until today, where we went from around 2 to 3 cents all the way up to the 10-cent mark that we saw yesterday on April 16th. In that video, I covered all the news, updates, and announcements that have led us to this point in time. Then I released a video on my channel which I would classify as pretty controversial in nature, where I basically described and explained all of the red flags surrounding the Verge cryptocurrency and the Verge project. I covered some of the things such as the recent 51% attack, some of the lack of transparency concerns from the Verge team and project, as well as the crowdfund, among other things. And basically what I was saying throughout this video, or the conclusion that I came to, was based upon these indicators, based upon these red flags, Verge is setting itself up, at least from a lot of the community's perception, as a potential scam. And at this point in time, Verge has impressed me and has proved me wrong thus far about this project and cryptocurrency being a scam. So while I mentioned in the video that I will not be touching this cryptocurrency from an investor standpoint, there's just too many things wrong, or at least too many red flags that have been raised thus far. Verge has lived up to the promise that it was going to come out with a partnership on the April 17th date, and while there are issues with the cryptocurrency at this point in time, Verge again has proved me wrong. But keep in mind that we aren't out of the woods just yet in terms of some of the stuff and issues that Verge has had over these past few weeks. So while we covered most of it in the last video, recently there was a bit of an issue with Ledger, and some of the Verge that was raised in the crowdfund moved over to an exchange, and we're going to talk about that later. However, just keep in mind that, again guys, in my opinion, I would do a lot of research. I would approach Verge with some necessary skepticism. I know many of you guys who are supporters of Verge aren't going to like me saying this, but for the most part, this is a coin that if you are seriously considering looking into, I would recommend doing triple the amount of research that you normally would on a cryptocurrency, whatever that may be, because Verge right now, in my opinion, is a pretty risky coin to get into. But nonetheless, Verge has had some interesting news with this partnership, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. The article that I'm going to be using to outline the rest of today's video can be found over on Cointelegraph.com, written by Molly Jane Zuckerman, is going to help me outline what this partnership with Verge is and what it means for the future. So this will be linked, just as always, in the description down below. But for those of you guys who haven't heard, adult streaming site Pornhub has announced a partnership with cryptocurrency Verge, or XVG, and will now accept the coin as payment for Pornhub Premium and all Pornhub purchases, according to a press release published today, April 17th. So their website has an interesting video which covers the idea of how Verge in the future has become the cryptocurrency of the world, or the currency of the world, and it's an interesting video nonetheless, and I would recommend you guys check it out if you guys are interested. However, whether or not you guys agree with Pornhub's mission and what they do as a company, this is still big news for Verge and the space of cryptocurrency. So Pornhub is an absolutely huge website with tons of traffic, and by accepting cryptocurrency, specifically Verge, this is a step in the right direction. The porn industry in general has been traditionally one of the earliest adopters of new technology, and this is a prime example of that. If we look here, history has proven that adult entertainment industry plays a critical role in adoption for innovative technology. We saw that with VHS, Betamax, credit card payments, icons, and most recently VR goggles. We expect to see widespread adoption of crypto and blockchain in a short order. So this leads and begs the question, will we see other websites similar to Pornhub accept cryptocurrency as payment? Will it be Verge? Will it be other currencies moving in the future? We will just have to see. So Something else I want to talk about today is also the idea of the crowdfund that went on just a few weeks ago. And to basically refresh those of you guys who don't know, Verge held a crowdfund in which they raised over 75 million Verge. And basically the reason that they needed to do this is because Verge, unlike other projects, doesn't have the necessary funding. They didn't have an ICO, they didn't have a pre-mine, yada yada. So they need the funding to pay developers, marketing, and as they state, see the adoption of the Verge cryptocurrency in the real world. And with that 75 million Verge, one of the things that they did with it was they, as I mentioned, want to see the adoption of the Verge cryptocurrency and help develop partnerships. So in this example, they paid actually Pornhub in order to partner with Verge. So a comment that I saw on r/cryptocurrency made the point that Visa, MasterCard, and PayPal are all accepted payment options without having to pay millions of dollars in order to do so. So generally when you hear about partnerships, it's mutually beneficial and doesn't involve an upfront sum of money from one entity to another in order to make it work. Many are calling it a marketing play on Verge's part more than an actual partnership, but nonetheless, it is still big news. So when we talk about the crowdfunding that took place, obviously there are different things they're going to be using that 75 million Verge for and distributing it in different areas. One of the things they mentioned was actually they're going to help pay developers, as they say on their website. They don't actually right now. In the past, they had to pay for some of the marketing stuff out of their own day job pockets and whatnot. And it is an open source project run by the community. So at the end of the day, there wasn't that funding. But keep in mind that some of the funding that went to that was completely donations. The people who donated to that didn't receive anything in return, unlike ICOs run on Ethereum or whatever network where you actually get tokens. This was purely a donation to the Verge cryptocurrency and the Verge project. So at the end of the day, it is interesting to note that most partnerships don't involve the payment from one to the other in order to partner or to announce this kind of news. However, in Verge's case, it is interesting that they did actually have to do this. So you guys can come to your own conclusions on what this actually means. Some are calling it clever marketing. Others are calling it not even a partnership in the first place. It depends on where you read. But nonetheless, Pornhub is now accepting the Verge cryptocurrency. And at the end of the day, this is pretty big news. I did want to make sure I get my facts correct. So Verge said that the $3 million it raised from its community will go towards integrating their technology into the Pornhub payment gateway system, marketing, as well as the hardware wallet integrations for Ledger and Trezor. First and foremost, I will say that this last bit of information that they so claim the money is going to go to is actually unfactual and is false. There has been reports from the vice president of engineering over at Ledger that there is not only a fee that is charged for integrating their technology, it is not used in the same way that Verge is proposing this $3 million will go to. So that is not a place that the money is going to at this point in time. Even though they say it is, it's just not happening. And this is coming directly from the vice president of engineering over at Ledger. And I'm going to kind of touch on this more at the end of the video. So that leaves two other places the money is going: marketing, paying developers on the team, as well as the Pornhub payment gateway system. And many people at this point in time have raised the concern that why is there being $3 million thrown at a payment gateway system, as well as marketing and developers. And at the end of the day, this is where it comes into question, you know, is this actually a partnership that was based upon, hey, you and me, we can work together, I can adopt your payment, you can benefit from this, we can benefit from this, this works out great? Or is it one of those things where Verge came up with a large sum of money and said, here, we'll give you this, just accept our currency and make it big news from there forward? So I'm going to let you guys come to your own conclusions on this. Nobody knows for certain here what happened, but we do know where Verge is saying the money is going. However, it has led to concerns to why it's going there and how it will actually be used. So I did want to clear that up. As somebody who hasn't been a fan of the Verge currency or project and has been very hard on them in the past, I will admit that I am surprised Verge came through with such an announcement. So honestly, I had no idea what to expect coming into the partnership date today, but I am pleasantly surprised. Is this the biggest announcement ever in cryptocurrency? No. Is it going to change the way we look at cryptocurrency and blockchain? Probably not, but due to increased adoption, especially with a partnership like this, cryptocurrency as a whole may see more eyes, it may see more use cases, and at the end of the day, it's a good thing overall, in my opinion. So obviously, Verge, the team, did a good job, whether you like it or not, hyping up the announcement date today and the news, as is reflected in the price of Verge. But moving forward here, I will say that even though it didn't live up to the lofty hyping up expectations that the Verge team came up with, such as it's going to be the biggest announcement in history, whatever. I've mentioned it before. You know, still is pretty big news. So many hypothesized that the reason Verge was hyping up the partnership so much was to increase the price of Verge, only to then conduct an exit scam. Thus far, this idea has been proved false, evident by the legitimate partnership and no signs of exiting and crashing the coin. Good news thus far for supporters of Verge, especially those that strongly believed in the news since day one. So I do want to take this time to conclude my final thoughts and opinions on Verge. So though I am still not a fan of Verge and the project as a whole, this is an announcement that has surprised a lot of people, including me. So Verge still has red flags, such as the recent 51% attacks, some transparency concerns, asking for more money to announce a partnership, which isn't usually how partnerships work, some ignorance from the lead developer about the fork, recent news which included over 3.5 million Verge moved to an exchange, among other things. And specifically, I am going to touch on this exchange and the money that was moved over there because this is relatively recent news and I haven't had a video or time to explain this further. So basically what happened recently is that there was over 3.5 million Verge moved over to an exchange, which we can see through the blockchain. And when they were asked about this, one of the mods replied with, "The money is being used on the integration of the Nano Ledger." So to make a long story short, the money transferred to the exchange is not being used to integrate Verge with the Nano Ledger. As I have mentioned earlier, the VP of engineering over at Ledger has tweeted out, "Hello, Ledger does not charge for coin integration anymore," so that doesn't even make sense in the first place. Second place, either the integration is provided by the community, which we help for free, or we can follow our own integration roadmap. Have a nice day. So nobody's really sure why this money is on this exchange or what it's going to. Obviously, as I have mentioned earlier in the video, Verge claims that it's going to this integration, which has been proven false, so we don't know where that money is going to, but also it is going to the Pornhub payment integration as well as some marketing, as they explain over there. But that's a lot of money to go into some integration within their partnership, so that's kind of where I leave you guys to come up with your own conclusion for this. But again, this is just another red flag that just kind of piles on top of all of the issues that we have seen thus far. So even though there is some positive news for Verge today, I don't want to ignore the fact that amongst the positive news, there's still development of not so favorable news within the Verge project. So it may seem like I am taking a lot of a big negative approach to this recent news today, but at the end of the day, I do think that Verge still has its issues, and I could have just made a video today explaining about the partnership and just what it means and how this is cool news, and I think I did do that towards the middle of today's video. I explained how this is a good partnership. It genuinely is. I think it does have some real value. However, I'm not just going to ignore the red flags in an effort to give you guys, dishonest information, or just to not provide that information at all, especially when I think it can provide some value for you guys. So I'm just kind of speaking my thoughts on today's video. Obviously, I always open up the comment section to you guys. If Verge was to execute a perfect partnership and there wasn't all this information, such as where this money was going that they raised, all the Nano Ledger issues, and the lack of transparency and just some unfactual information, I wouldn't have anything to cover, and therefore I would be a lot more optimistic about this going forward. So I hope you guys kind of understand where I'm coming from. I just want to give you guys the honest news and give you guys my thoughts and opinions on that. So again, if I mess anything up, if I'm wrong on this video, I do always open up the comment section for discussion, because I think that's extremely important, not only for discussing cryptocurrencies, but moving the space forward as a whole. So as of recording this video, Verge is holding up pretty well, but when I fully expected it to crash down to previous levels, pre-announcement hype, so maybe around 2 to 3 cents down here, which we saw before this hype that leading up to the 17th date. So the recent resurgence of Bitcoin and altcoins has definitely helped prop up Verge's price, but at this point I think we still have a ways to drop the next few days. The reasons I think this is because there are and always will be people buying the rumor and selling the news, but in Verge's case, many people that I've seen over on Twitter, on the r/cryptocurrency subreddit, and other spaces have had no interest in Verge, but only wanted to profit on an announcement date when the hype was at its highest. So cryptocurrencies and projects that have a reputation for being notorious for hyping things up, people generally get into those cryptocurrencies only to set their stop losses, make their profits on the announcement date or close to that, and then exit out of the coins. So this is not something that is unique to Verge. Other cryptocurrencies have show the same tendencies and whatnot. However, that is something that is contributing to the recent drop in price, and this is relatively basic stuff for most of you guys. However, I did want to mention that. Obviously, the more money we get into the space, the cryptocurrency space, the better. And recently, with the resurgence of altcoins and bitcoins, that has helped Verge keep its price up as well. However, keep in mind that Verge was unsustainably hyped up, and we will see this with other cryptocurrencies. I believe Verge will potentially begin to see a little bit of a further fall, whether that be back down to 3-4 cents, or even just back down to 6 cents, or maybe, just maybe, for some reason, we will see an increase in price moving forward here. But that again, I'm not sure why I included that. Very doubtful. However, that's just kind of my thoughts and opinions on Verge. Maybe you guys think that Verge is going to find a level of support at 8 cents. Maybe you think it's going to consolidate here. Love to hear your guys' thoughts and opinions nonetheless. That's going to do it for the video today, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. Obviously, I think this video is going to be pretty controversial again. Many people are looking for the news that says, oh, Verge, this partnership, it's amazing, it's going to do great. And while, again, I've said it multiple times throughout the video, this is an awesome partnership for Verge and cryptocurrency. That doesn't mean that there aren't issues or problems with Verge moving forward here. And that is just basically the main point I wanted to drive home. So maybe I'm completely wrong. Maybe I'm crazy, guys. Maybe you guys have a different opinion. I'd love to hear those, because that is how we move forward as a channel. That's how we move forward in cryptocurrency and the whole blockchain space as a whole. So you guys get the idea. I'm going to jump into the disclaimer, which states none of the information in today's video is investment or financial advice. This is just simply my personal opinion. Please do your own research before investing. Invest at your own risk. Don't invest more than you can afford to lose, and consult a financial advisor if necessary, guys. As for transparency purposes, if it wasn't clear enough, I'm not investing in Verge and don't hold Verge in my portfolio at the time of making this video. So thank you guys again for watching. Your support has been unreal. Again, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. It helps so much. And please have a great rest of your day, guys.